There are two kinds of pain in life, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. One makes you stronger, the other stays with you forever, and nothing haunts a man more than the words he never said, the chances he never took, the truths he buried in silence. There is a saying that opportunities don't knock twice. Life has a way of presenting us with moments, fleeting, fragile, and powerful, that can change everything. Sometimes those moments come disguised as a conversation, a chance to speak up in a meeting, or a moment to tell someone how much they matter. But when silence takes over, when fear convinces you to hold back your words, those moments vanish like smoke in the wind. And the truth is, opportunities rarely wait for the hesitant. They favor the bold, the ones who are willing to step into discomfort and give voice to what others keep locked inside. Think about the times you wanted to raise your hand in school or at work but didn't. The idea you had could have sparked innovation. The question you wanted to ask might have shown your teacher, your boss, or your peers that you were curious, engaged, and ready for more. Instead, you sat there quietly, telling yourself, maybe next time. But the next time never came, and someone else, someone less afraid of being judged, took the chance. They spoke, and suddenly they were seen, they were recognized, they became the person remembered while you faded into the background. Silence in those moments cost you the opportunity to shine. The danger of silence is that it tricks us into believing we are protecting ourselves. We think, if I stay quiet, I won't look foolish, I won't risk rejection, I won't make a mistake. And while that may shield us from embarrassment, it also robs us of the very experiences that help us grow. The irony is this: in avoiding the small pain of temporary discomfort, we invite the heavier pain of long-term regret. A closed mouth might keep you safe for a moment, but it keeps the door closed on opportunities that could have changed the entire trajectory of your life. Consider relationships. How many people walk through life carrying words they never said? I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm sorry. Those words, locked inside, might have mended a bond, deepened a connection, or healed a broken heart. Yet, silence allowed the moment to slip away, and when the chance is gone, when the person moves on, when life shifts, or worse, when time runs out, the regret is unbearable. You realize that your silence wasn't just harmless, it was costly. It stole a chance for closeness, for understanding, for love. Even in careers, silence has the power to make or break futures. Imagine being in a room where decisions are made. Your company is looking for fresh ideas. Your boss is scanning the room for initiative, and all eyes shift to you. You have something worth saying, an idea that could make a difference. But fear clamps down, and you swallow the words. Later, someone else says the very thing you were thinking, and suddenly they are praised. They are rewarded. They are seen as a leader. Meanwhile, you sit silently, wondering, what if I had spoken? That single moment of hesitation could have been the doorway to promotion, recognition, or a whole new chapter in your career. Silence isn't neutral, it's a decision. Every time you choose not to speak, you are choosing to step away from possibility. Life doesn't pause and wait for us to find courage. It moves on. And when you stay quiet, when you allow fear to dictate your voice, you're not just avoiding risk, you're avoiding growth. You're handing the microphone of your life to someone else, letting them seize the very opportunities that were meant for you. The painful truth is that the world doesn't reward silence. It rewards action. It rewards courage, and it rewards those who choose to speak when silence feels safer. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. It lingers in the mind, replaying old memories, whispering what if, and if only. Unlike failure, which teaches lessons and builds resilience, regret leaves nothing but emptiness. And one of the greatest sources of regret in life is silence. The words we never spoke, the chances we never took, the truths we never lived. When silence takes over, it might protect us in the moment, but it creates wounds that only time can reveal. Years later, we look back not at the things we said, but at the things we didn't. Think about the last time you stayed silent when you should have spoken. Maybe it was in a conversation with a friend where they said something that hurt you, but instead of voicing your feelings, you swallowed them down. Or maybe it was in a relationship where you wanted to express love but held back, convincing yourself the other person already knew. At the time, it felt easier to say nothing, but later, in the quiet of your own mind, regret settled in. You replayed the moment, wishing you had been braver, wishing you had been honest. Silence may seem like peace, but often it is the beginning of regret's echo. Regret caused by silence has a way of growing larger with time. In the beginning, it is just a small whisper, an unanswered question, a missed opportunity, a sentence left unfinished. But as years pass, that whisper becomes a roar. The memory becomes heavier, the what if becomes louder, and the moment you stayed silent becomes a story you cannot rewrite. Unlike spoken words, which can be clarified, corrected, or even apologized for, silence offers no second chance. You cannot explain words that were never said. You cannot repair an opportunity you never took. In relationships, silence can leave a lifelong scar. People often think they have unlimited time to speak their heart, to share their feelings, to apologize or forgive. But time is never guaranteed. One day, you may wake up and realize the chance is gone. Maybe the person has moved on, maybe the door has closed, or maybe they are no longer here. And in that moment, silence turns into regret that cannot be undone. People rarely regret telling someone they care, even if the words weren't received the way they hoped. But people deeply regret never saying it at all. Regret doesn't only come in personal life. It shows up in our dreams and ambitions too. How many people have brilliant ideas that never leave their minds? How many people spend their lives with gifts, talents, and stories locked inside, never shared with the world? They stay silent because they are afraid of judgment, afraid of rejection, afraid of failure. And yet, years later, the fear fades but the regret remains. They look back and wonder what could have been, what book they could have written, what business they could have built, what stage they could have stood on, if only they had dared to speak. Silence is not safety, it is slow regret. The harsh truth is this: regret grows where silence lives. Every moment you keep quiet when you should speak, you plant the seed of regret. And while fear may be powerful in the moment, its grip fades with time. What remains is the ache of never trying, never expressing, never living fully. Words left unspoken do not disappear. They live inside you, turning into what-ifs that follow you everywhere. And the cruelest part of regret is that it is always about the past, something you cannot change. That is why silence is so dangerous. You don't feel its cost today, but tomorrow you will carry it like a weight you can never put down. Silence is often mistaken for strength. People tell themselves, if I say nothing, I'm keeping the peace. If I stay quiet, I'm staying in control. But the truth is the opposite. Silence gives your power away. When you don't speak up for yourself, when you don't voice your ideas, when you don't declare your boundaries, you hand the steering wheel of your life to someone else. You may think you are avoiding conflict or protecting yourself, but really, you are giving others permission to decide your path, your value, and your future. Think about the workplace. You have ideas, you see solutions, you notice what others miss. But when you don't speak, someone else steps in. They share their perspective, and suddenly they are the one recognized, rewarded, and promoted. Not because they were smarter, not because they had better ideas, but simply because they spoke while you stayed silent. In that moment, you surrendered control of your potential. Silence didn't protect you, it sidelined you, and once others see you as silent, they start deciding for you what you're worth, what role you play, and what opportunities you deserve. Silence also gives others control in relationships. If someone mistreats you, disrespects you, or crosses your boundaries and you say nothing, you are teaching them how to treat you. By staying silent, you send the message that their behavior is acceptable even when it isn't. And over time, that silence becomes permission. They keep pushing, you keep shrinking, and slowly you lose control of your own dignity. Words spoken with courage may create conflict, yes, but words unspoken create chains. And those chains are always harder to break the longer you stay quiet. History itself shows us that silence empowers the wrong people. Entire systems of injustice have thrived because too many stayed silent while a few voices dictated the rules. Silence is not neutral, it sides with the powerful. When people stay quiet in the face of lies, the liars win. When people stay quiet in the face of cruelty, the cruel gain control. Every time silence replaces truth, control shifts to those who are louder, not necessarily those who are right. And this lesson is not only global, it is personal. In your own life, when you stay silent, you allow others' voices to define your reality. Control is not just about power, it's about direction. Imagine sitting in a car while someone else drives. You may not like where they're going, but as long as you stay silent, you go where they choose. That's how silence works in life. When you don't speak up about what you want, what you need, or what you believe in, you end up living by someone else's map. You settle for their version of success, their vision of happiness, their rules of living. And years later, you wake up realizing you never truly lived your own life. You just lived the life others created for you. All because you didn't take back the wheel with your voice. The truth is this: silence isn't peace, it's surrender. Every word you fail to speak is space that someone else fills with their agenda, their expectations, their control. And once they take it, they rarely give it back. Your voice is your power, your protection, and your freedom. Without it, you are not the author of your story. You are a character in someone else's script. And nothing creates deeper frustration than realizing you lost control of your life simply because you stayed quiet. Human beings are wired for connection. We thrive on communication, on sharing our thoughts, feelings, and experiences with one another. Relationships, whether friendships, families, or partnerships, are built on words. But when silence steps in, those bridges begin to crumble. Silence is not always golden. Sometimes silence is poison. It creates distance where there could have been closeness, confusion where there could have been understanding, and emptiness where there could have been love. Every unspoken word chips away at the foundation of connection until the bond feels hollow, fragile, and broken. Think about a friendship that faded. Most of the time, friendships don't end because of betrayal or anger. They die because of silence. One person stops calling, the other stops texting, and before long, months pass without a word. The bond that once felt unshakable slowly disappears, not because of a fight, but because of the absence of communication. Silence is not neutral in relationships. It sends a message. It says, "You don't matter enough for me to reach out." Whether intentional or not, that silence creates distance, and distance destroys connection. In romantic relationships, silence is even more dangerous. Couples often stay silent to avoid arguments or to keep the peace. But what they don't realize is that unspoken frustrations grow in the dark. The words you don't say, the "I feel hurt," the "I need more," the "I miss you" build into resentment over time. Instead of solving problems, silence buries them, and buried problems always resurface, often in more destructive ways. What could have been a moment of honesty becomes years of emotional distance. And when silence replaces communication, love begins to suffocate. A relationship without words is not intimacy, it is isolation. Silence also kills connection within families. Parents and children often carry unspoken words between them. A father never tells his son he's proud, assuming his actions say enough. A daughter never tells her mother how much she admires her, thinking the love is obvious. Families assume love is understood without being spoken, but silence creates doubt. Over time, that doubt grows into insecurity. Did they ever really care? Did they ever really see me? What could have been a powerful bond of reassurance turns into a quiet ache of uncertainty. Words left unsaid within families can echo for generations. Even outside of personal relationships, silence affects the way we connect with the world. Imagine being in a room full of people but keeping all your thoughts locked inside. You may be physically present, but your silence makes you invisible. You don't connect with anyone because no one knows who you are, what you value, or what you dream about. Silence becomes a wall between you and the world, and walls cannot build connection. Every time you stay silent, you deny others the chance to know you, to understand you, to connect with you. And connection denied is connection lost. The truth is, connection dies without words. You cannot build closeness on silence. You cannot resolve conflict with silence. You cannot deepen love, trust, or friendship with silence. Connection requires vulnerability, honesty, and courage. The willingness to say what is in your heart even when it feels uncomfortable. Silence may feel safe, but safety does not create intimacy. Words do. And when you withhold them, you are not protecting the relationship. You are starving it. And slowly, silence will kill what you never dared to express. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. Every word you speak, every time you step forward and let your voice be heard, you add a brick to the foundation of your self-belief. But the opposite is also true. Every time you stay silent when you want to speak, every time you let fear choke your voice, you chip away at that foundation. Silence may seem harmless, but it has a quiet way of eroding your confidence. It teaches your mind to doubt your worth and convinces you that your voice doesn't matter. Over time, this repeated silence creates a cycle where fear grows stronger and confidence grows weaker. Think back to a classroom moment. Maybe you had the answer, maybe you had the question, but you stayed silent. You told yourself, "I don't want to sound stupid." Then you watched someone else raise their hand and say exactly what you were thinking. The teacher nodded, praised them, and you sat there shrinking in your seat. That one moment didn't just pass, it left a mark. It whispered to your mind, "See, you should have spoken," but you didn't. And the next time you face the same choice, silence comes easier. The more you choose silence, the more you train yourself to believe that your voice doesn't belong in the room. That is how confidence quietly slips away. Confidence isn't built by thinking, it's built by action. You cannot think your way into being confident. You must act your way into it. And speaking is one of the most powerful actions you can take. When you speak, even if your voice shakes, even if your words aren't perfect, you prove to yourself that you are worthy of being heard. But when you stay silent, you prove the opposite. You reinforce the lie that your opinions, your ideas, your feelings are less important. Silence feeds insecurity, and insecurity grows stronger every time you give in to it. This is why silence feels heavier with age. People who spend years staying quiet, at work, in relationships, in life, often struggle with self-doubt later on. They look back at a lifetime of holding back, and they realize they never gave themselves permission to step into the light. They never tested their strength, never stretched their courage, never gave their voice the chance to grow. And without that practice, confidence atrophies like an unused muscle. Silence doesn't just weaken confidence, it starves it. Even small acts of speaking build confidence, saying no when you need to, asking the question everyone else is too afraid to ask, sharing your idea even if it isn't perfect. These small choices train your mind to believe, my voice matters, I matter. Confidence grows every time you break silence. But when you choose to stay quiet, you teach yourself that other people's voices are louder, more valuable, more necessary. Slowly, your confidence bends to their approval instead of your own self-belief. Silence robs you of the opportunity to prove to yourself that you are capable. The truth is this: confidence is not something the world gives you. It's something you claim, and the first step in claiming it is using your voice. Silence will always feel easier in the moment, but in the long run, it leaves you small, unseen, and unheard. Every time you silence yourself, you make yourself smaller. But every time you speak, even imperfectly, you grow stronger. Confidence doesn't come from waiting until you feel ready. It comes from speaking before you feel ready, and silence, if left unchallenged, will keep you waiting forever. There is a moment in every person's life when they discover the power of their own voice. It often doesn't come in the big, glamorous moments. It comes in the small, shaky ones. The first time you speak up for yourself. The first time you share an idea in a room full of doubt. The first time you tell the truth that everyone else is too afraid to say. In that instant, something shifts inside you. You realize that breaking silence is not just about being heard, it's about reclaiming your power. Your voice is more than sound. It is proof of your courage, your freedom, and your strength. History is full of examples of how powerful a single voice can be. One person speaks out against injustice, and suddenly others find the courage to do the same. One leader declares their vision, and a movement begins. But this doesn't only belong to great figures in history. It belongs to you in your everyday life. When you break silence, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. Your words create ripples that reach farther than you can imagine. A single voice, spoken with conviction, can shift the course of a room, a family, a community, even a nation. That's the power silence keeps locked away, and the power you unlock when you choose to speak. Breaking silence also unlocks authenticity. So many people walk through life hiding who they are, saying what's safe, suppressing what's real. They believe silence will protect them from rejection, but what it really does is trap them in a life that isn't fully theirs. The moment you break silence and speak your truth, you set yourself free. You no longer live to please, to fit, to shrink. You step into the power of being unapologetically yourself. And there is no greater strength than a person who knows who they are and dares to express it. The power of breaking silence also shows up in healing. Words have the ability to mend wounds, but only if they are spoken. Apologies left unsaid keep relationships broken. Gratitude left unspoken keeps love unacknowledged. Dreams left unshared keep communities uninspired. But when you break silence, you unlock the healing power of communication. You bridge divides, repair trust, and breathe life back into relationships that silence was suffocating. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is simple: I was wrong, I appreciate you, I love you. These words may feel small, but their power is limitless. On a personal level, breaking silence builds momentum. The more you speak, the stronger you feel. The stronger you feel, the bolder you become. This cycle transforms you from a passive observer of life into an active creator of it. Silence keeps you waiting for permission, but speaking gives you power to act without it. The moment you realize you don't need to wait, that your voice is your permission, you unlock the kind of confidence that cannot be taken away. Speaking doesn't just change how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. The truth is, silence is heavy, but your voice is light. It carries truth, power, healing, and freedom. Every time you choose to break silence, you choose to step into that power. And once you taste it, once you feel the strength that comes from speaking your truth, you never want to go back. Because silence may feel safe, but it keeps you small. Speaking may feel risky, but it makes you powerful. And when you unlock that power, there is no limit to what you can create, who you can inspire, or how far your voice can carry. Regret has a way of chasing us. It doesn't come from the risks we take, the mistakes we make, or even the failures we face. Regret comes from the silence, the moments we held back, the words we buried, the truths we never let breathe. Life will not pause for our hesitation. It will keep moving, handing the prize to those who dare to speak, to act, to live without holding their voice hostage. Your silence has already cost you enough. It has cost you opportunities. It has cost you connection. It has cost you confidence. But the story does not have to end there. The next chapter is waiting, and it belongs to the version of you who is unafraid to be heard. So speak. Speak even when your voice shakes. Speak even when your words aren't perfect. Speak because your voice has weight, your truth has value, and your silence is not strength. It is surrender. The power of your life, the freedom of your soul, and the impact you can leave on this world all begin the moment you decide, I will no longer stay silent.